Hello and a very, very good morning, assuming you're in the UK. If you're not in the UK or you're watching this on video on demand, I've got no idea what time of day it is for you. So greetings, one and all. Now I've called this video Coping with an Uncertain Future. Sounds rather doom-laden, but actually, hello Hayley, it's the reality for everyone. There can be a number of things particularly affecting your life that make things uncertain. Health issues, family issues, financial issues, the sort of thing that make you think, I'm not quite sure how we're going to cope with all this. But the bottom line is, none of us can have any clue from one moment to the next what actually could be happening or what might happen. I make no apology for using an example I've used before, the lockdown and the pandemic. None of us knew that was going to come. Some of us could have looked at the news and thought, they're going to have to lock us down. But the pandemic itself came out of nowhere. And the people in Wuhan province had even less of a warning than the rest of us did, because the rest of the world was watching what was going on in Wuhan and thinking, oh dear, is this going to come to us? But we couldn't know. But in the end, as we know, the pandemic did reach us and we got locked down. And that is a classic example of how you can never really be sure what is going to happen from one week to the next, or even from one moment to the next. Hello, Amanda. So, what sort of things am I talking about? Out of the blue, the relationship that you've been in for years and years and years, suddenly your partner turns around and said, I'm leaving you. Or you have a strange symptom and it doesn't seem too serious, but you go to the doctor and suddenly you're being told you've got cancer. Or, as is happening to 600 Birmingham City Council workers at the moment, you had a steady job and suddenly you're being told you're being made redundant. The one thing mindfulness teaches us, and the one thing that Buddhism in particular teaches us, is that the only thing you can ever be sure of is what's happening in this moment, right here, right now. And if you've ever been in any of my meditations, you will have often heard me use the phrase that you've put yourself in this place where nothing else matters except just this breath coming in, just this breath going out. Allow your awareness of your breath to anchor you into this moment. Because the truth is that whatever is going on in this moment is absolutely the only thing that you've got any control over at all. It's the only thing you can respond to. And I said control over. You may not have any control over the situation you find yourself in. And you just have to think, okay, this is where I am. how am I going to get through this? And you cope minute by minute, day by day. I once gave Reiki to a lady who had recently lost her husband. Very suddenly, out of the blue. And I treated her before he died, and she had a couple of sessions after he died, and her mantra after he died was, I don't know how I'm going to cope without Peter. I don't know how I'm going to cope without Peter. And I had to say, look, you are coping. You have no choice. You've got to cope. The only choice you've got is, are you going to cope well or badly? An awful lot of the techniques that I teach in these videos are aimed at helping you cope better. Because I sometimes think people got this weird idea about me that, because I teach all these techniques and I meditate regularly and I do Tai Chi regularly, and they are genuinely a regular part of what I do, that my life must be totally stress-free. If only you knew. Knowing and practicing these techniques does not mean that life is going to leave you alone. Does not mean that life is not going to throw obstacles in your way. Because at the end of the day, that's life. The one thing you can guarantee is uncertainty. And you just have to cope. And the only thing you can choose is, are you going to cope well or badly? By practicing the techniques that you do with me in these videos, practicing them on your own. And remember, these videos are to give you techniques that you can use on your own, that you can practice when I'm not in your ear. You've got a recording of me to have me in your ear on demand. It's by practicing techniques that I teach that give you the greater resilience to cope with whatever life chooses to throw at you. Because sometimes in the end, that's the only choice you have. A situation happens and all you can choose is, okay, how am I going to react to this? When the lockdowns happened, there was no point in getting stressed up and saying this is all wrong. How am I going to cope? Because that didn't alter the fact that the lockdown was there. The lady I used to give Reiki to, however much she stressed, it wasn't going to alter the fact that sadly Peter had died. Very often you have no control over your external circumstances. And when that's the situation, all you can do is literally make the best of it. And that's where one important aspect of mindfulness comes into play. This idea that the one certainty in life is that things will change. So that if you've got something bad at the moment, it will change. Lockdown came to an end. The pandemic is receding. COVID may still be around, which it is, but it's no longer the global threat that it was. If you have chronic pain, which is something that's much on my mind today because I've been to the doctor today because I need better pain control. You only have to cope with the pain you have in this moment. Of course, the next moment it might be a bit easier. And you never know what may come along, because none of us know what the future's going to hold. And although I've been talking about bad things happening, you don't know whether tomorrow you're suddenly going to receive a huge legacy from an unknown relative, whether you're going to meet the love of your life, whether you are going to suddenly have a brilliant idea for an invention to solve all your problems. You just don't know. So life is coping with an uncertain future. But the difference is you don't have to assume that future is going to be bad. It's also unwise to assume that that future is going to be universally good. But when you're used to coping, whatever life throws at you, you can deal with it. And it's by dealing with what is in front of you right here, right now, by being aware. If you're in a relationship, how many times have you been with your significant other and you've not really been paying attention to them because you've been absorbed in something else? Now, you do that too often and your significant other could get rather annoyed. By truly being aware that you are with your significant other, by paying attention to them, by showing them that you're aware of them, that's a brilliant way of keeping your relationship going well. Of course, it's so easy when you're in a long-term relationship to take everything for granted. But bad relationships can end. Sadly, good relationships can end. You never know what life is going to throw at you, but by being aware of what's going on in each moment, you can put your attention where it's most helpful. Now, Buddhism makes a big play of being in the moment. But I can always hear you saying, hang on a minute, if I'm going to cook, I've got to make sure I've got the shopping list in, which means I've got to think ahead. Yes, that's true. It's an ideal. And no one is saying don't make plans, don't make holiday plans, don't make shopping lists, don't keep a diary. But what you have to do is to be prepared for the fact that things could happen which make alterations necessary. So don't get too attached to the idea that just because life has always gone this way, this is how it's always going to happen. And I'd like to end this video by doing a little bit of mindfulness meditation. So if you're catching this on, if you can't join the meditation now, but you want to watch back later, as ever, watch for the Namaste sign as the sign that I'm starting. So here we go. So my invitation to you is to get yourself settled and comfortable, seated, lying, standing even. Closing your eyes if you feel it's safe to do so. And I'm just going to invite you, just for a few moments, just to notice. Notice everything that's coming into your mind right now. Notice everything that wants to take your attention. It could be you've got a few aches and pains. It could be that you suddenly get a thought in your head about something you need to add to the shopping list. It could be a sudden sound that you weren't expecting. Maybe your emotions aren't too good at the moment and you're feeling a bit unhappy. Or maybe your emotions are really good and you're feeling really happy and relaxed. I just want you to notice how things are right here, right now. Because that's what mindfulness is. It's simply being aware. Because unless you are aware, you cannot make the appropriate response to deal with something. Now, what I'd like to do is to invite you to bring your awareness close in and notice the contact between your body and your chair. Or bed, or whatever you're sitting, standing or lying on right now. Notice that contact. And I'd like to invite you to notice two things. Number one, there is stillness in that point of contact. And number two, there's shape, there's texture. So I'd like to invite you to really be aware of all the contours and all the textures where your body is in contact with the bed or the chair or the cushion or whatever. And then notice how the bed or the chair is actually doing all the work. It's supporting you. You haven't got to do anything except just stay still in it. And you might also become aware that actually gravity's playing its part. Gravity's holding you where you are. And you haven't got anything to do except let the chair and gravity do all the hard work. All you need to do is just breathe. And so I'd like to invite you now to bring your awareness in to your breath. Not changing your breath in any way. No need to change your breath, just notice it. And just notice the natural rhythm. And as you breathe in, can you just think to yourself, I'm breathing in. And as you're breathing out, just think to yourself, I'm breathing out. I am aware of my in-breath. I am aware of my out-breath. I am aware of my in-breath. I am aware of my out-breath. And just literally be aware of your breath. Noticing whether it's fast or slow. Noticing whether it's deep or shallow. But however it is, noticing that it's getting oxygen into your body. It's doing its job. And you know what? It will do its job even if you're not focusing on it. So right now, you have got nothing to do except just be here. Letting the chair and gravity support you. letting your breath just carry on all by itself. And you just noticing all this is happening. Noticing, aware and mindful. And any time something comes in that wants to take your mind away from that awareness, just notice it. Just think to yourself, oh yeah, there's a thought. Or, oh, I'm a bit restless. Or, oh, my hip's playing up a bit. Oh, it's a bit chilly in here. Whatever you notice it, and then bring your awareness back to your breath and to this moment. Because whatever the future may hold for you, good or bad, you're going to face it better if you're calm and relaxed and you've taken time out to just be still. You will have more energy to cope with whatever life is going to throw at you. Whatever unexpected things come your way, good or bad, you will cope. And you will cope better. Remembering that the only thing you can ever deal with is what's in front of you, right here, right now. And that no one can tell you for certain what will happen in the future. So let go of expectations. Let go of memories of the past. And just enjoy this moment that you have given yourself when you've got nothing else to do except just be still. And then gently allow your awareness to start moving outwards. So you become aware once more of where you are and the chair and sounds and feelings coming from outside you. And then gently bring yourself back to normal awareness. And just check in with yourself. See how you feel now compared to how you felt before. Just remember that whatever's going to happen, whether it's good or bad, you need to look after you so you can cope with it. Because even good needs coping with. You ask anyone who's planned a big celebration or a wedding or a holiday. Oh. And time to just sit and still. To quote Hilaire Belloc, time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep and cows. That's something that's important for everybody, because everybody needs that. Time to be still, time for yourself. And that's what being mindful can give you, because you don't need to sit and listen to a guided meditation for 10-15 minutes. When you're aware and practice mindfulness, you can take a time out with every breath. Just bring your attention into your breath and just let the thoughts go, let the worries go, and just be still for a few breaths. And that's something that's always there for everybody. Anyway, I'm going to end this now and say thank you for being here. Whether you've watched me live, whether you've caught it on Facebook, or indeed whether you've caught it on the YouTube channel. And I will be back next week with another video. And if there's something you'd like me to talk about, you know how to contact me. In the meantime, thank you for wanting to look after yourself. Remember that you matter. Namaste.